Richard the Lionheart, medieval warrior, King of England. Welcome to my channel. Today we will meet Richard the Lionheart, King of England. Richard is famous in legend for his bravery in battle and martial prowess, but how much of that is actually true? Let's find out. His full name and title: Richard I, also known as Richard the Lionheart, French Coeur de Lion, King of England. Born -8 September 1157 at Oxford, England. Died to the 6th of April 1199 in France. Family: Richard was the third son of King Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine, the famous queen who later became a powerful force in her own right. His older brother, King John of England, is the famous king from the Robin Hood legends. Personality and reputation: Richard was renowned as a brave warrior and military leader, although he was more famous for his role as a crusader than as a ruler of England. He was said to be brave, chivalrous, and a great hunter, but also hot-tempered and ruthless in battle. While history remembers him as a great warrior, he was considered quite an ordinary medieval monarch in other aspects of governance. The Crusades. Richard was a key leader in the Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192. Fighting against Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, the crusade was launched in response to the capture of Jerusalem by Saladin in 1187. Richard led the English and his allies into battle against Saladin. Along with other European nobles, Richard fought to take back Jerusalem, but his efforts were not successful. Despite winning important battles like the Siege of Acre in 1191 and the Battle of Arsuf in 1191, Richard was unable to break through Saladin's defenses or retake Jerusalem. Richard's military skill was brilliant, but his crusade was ultimately a failure. In 1192, he signed a treaty with Saladin, agreeing to a truce. This allowed Christian pilgrims safe access to the Holy City in exchange for Muslim prisoners held by the Crusaders. Richard's contemporaries considered him a great warrior but not a very successful leader. As far as the Crusades went, it was Philip Augustus of France who was considered the most successful. But that's a story for another time. Time in England. Richard spent only about 6 months of his 10-year reign in England. He was crowned king in 1189 while still a teenager, and immediately left for France to take part in the Third Crusade. He did not return to England until 1194, and even then, left again soon afterwards to resume hostilities against his brother King John. It was during this absence that King John took the English crown jewels to be safe from the threat of invasion by France. Richard came back to England in 1198 and spent his last year in power trying to win back Aquitaine from his brother. Died before he could do so. Capture and ransom. On his way home from the Crusades, Richard and his men were ambushed in Austria in 1192, and he was captured and held for a huge ransom. The Austrians demanded that England pay 100,000 marks to ransom Richard and 40,000 marks for his brother, King John. England paid the ransom, and Richard returned to his kingdom in 1194. Death: Richard died in 1199 after being wounded by a crossbow bolt while besieging a castle in France. He was struck on the shoulder and the wound turned gangrenous. The king died from complications of the infection. Although Richard was considered a great warrior and medieval hero, he had his share of flaws. He was often absent from England, leaving the country virtually without a king for most of his reign. He also neglected his royal duties in favor of hunting and crusades. And when he did return to England, he was more interested in fighting his brother, King John, than governing the kingdom. As a result, many people felt that Richard was not a very successful or effective king. However, his reputation as a valiant warrior and medieval hero has endured for centuries. Legacy: Richard the Lionheart is perhaps the most romanticized medieval king, and his life has inspired countless books, movies, and works of art. He is often portrayed as a brave and chivalrous knight who fought for justice and defended the weak. Whether this is an accurate portrayal of Richard the Lionheart is debatable, but there's no doubt that he is a legendary figure in medieval history, and that his name has become synonymous with courage and knightly valor. However, he is also criticized for neglecting his duty as king and failing to protect his people. Now you know about Richard the Lionheart. If you want to know about any other medieval warrior, then let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.